Hello and welcome to On the Wrist. Today we're going to join the dark side and check out the Oris Aquis Stormtrooper. This is a limited edition watch that only semi-recently has become available in the US and incorporates some pretty amazing design elements from the Star Wars franchise, specifically for the Imperial Forces troops, the Stormtroopers. This video is a full technical as well as design review of this watch. So without further ado, let's join the dark side and get into the details about this watch. So let's talk about the unique design features of this watch. I'm not going to go too much into the Aquis design aesthetic, but mostly focus here on these Star Wars elements. Starting outwards and rotating in, the bezel is this beautiful ceramic bezel, great legibility with the black and white, but what I love is that at the 12 o'clock position there is a TIE fighter, which you'll see later where the lume really shines through. Continuing inward, the small second sub-dial has the Imperial Forces logo and a black and white seconds hand spinning around. The handset to me looks a little bit like lightsabers, it makes a lot of sense. But probably my favorite design element of this watch is the fact that the Death Star is the centerpiece of this watch. At first it might be easy to pass by, but once you see it, it's so obvious that it's there, and it's amazing that it has a TIE fighter chasing an X-Wing around the Death Star. These elements are very well incorporated, it looks just so well done, and it's great that even though it's a black face watch, the white of the Imperial logo as well as the sort of slightly more gray of the Death Star and the TIE Fighter and X-Wing really make it stand out. If we take a look at the bracelet, the outer links are highly polished, get some nice reflection in the light, comes down to the sort of standard Oris clasp, several micro position points, very solid bracelet, comfortable, easy to get a good fit. One element though that I'm not a fan of is that to remove the bracelet you actually need a special tool, as you can see there. It's not a standard screwdriver, can't just put a spring bar tool in there, you actually need a specialized tool which comes with the watch, but I just prefer when watches stick to the standard type of attachment points. One really fun small element they've included here is on the case back. It has the Stormtrooper face, and it has what I find a hysterical quote that
only Imperial Stormtroopers are so precise.
If any of you are fans of Star Wars, you'll know that Stormtroopers are hailed as the worst shots in the galaxy and can't hit the broadside of a space barn. So I think that's just a really funny quote to include on the back, really great engraving on the case back. Let's talk technical specs. Alright, so the technical specs will come up on the left. The diameter is 43.5 millimeters. The thickness is 12.5 millimeters thick. The movement is the Oris 743, which is a base Sellita SW220-1 with a 38-hour power reserve. Crystal is a sapphire crystal, and the water rating of this watch is 300 meters or 30 bars. This is in fact a limited edition and is limited to 1,300 pieces. As you can see here, solid lume on the hand's indices, and I really love that the TIE Fighter up top on the bezel is also loomed up as well. Let's get a couple shots on the wrist. So here we have it on my 7.5 inch wrist. The 43.5 millimeters is a little bigger than I would normally like, but I do like a lot how the thickness isn't so thick for a watch of this size, kind of the bulkier dive watch. The details from the Star Wars stuff stands out so nicely. The white on the black back face is so excellent, so high legibility, and the details stand out. And what's great is as you look closer and closer, you see more and more of those little Star Wars details. This is a very sharp looking watch, and I can definitely see myself wearing this out in the world. Bracelet fits very comfortably, and I do really enjoy how polished a lot of the links are. I'm here once again at Royal Jewelers in Andover, Massachusetts. They've been kind enough to let me use one of their watches to film this video. Royal Jewelers is where I purchased my Tudor Black Bay 58 and my Oris Big Crown Pointer Date. I highly recommend you check them out if you're in the Massachusetts area. Link to their website in the description. Let's talk MSRP and value. So MSRP of this watch is $2,700 US. This watch was originally only available in China, Taiwan, and Hong Kong, and was part of the Dark Side set, which included a Darth Vader themed Pro Diver GMT. The original price for that full package set was $6,900 US, but now Some of these watches are available in the US in limited numbers. This is a true limited edition, meaning that there are only 1,300 of these watches available, and there are no more outside of that. At $2,700 US, this is certainly in the entry-level luxury category, and I'm a huge fan of Oris. I love their design aesthetic. I really like how this watch has executed these Star Wars elements in the watch. I think the price for the specs is a little much. This is a base Solita movement. It's before Oris had developed their in-house caliber, so I think $2,700 for the technical specs is pushing it. However, this is a true limited edition, with most of the watches not being available in the US where I'm located, so there is some exclusivity attached to it. And one thing I really like about this watch is that watches that do these crossovers sometimes lack on style, whereas this one incorporates the Star Wars elements so elegantly that this is a watch I can definitely see myself wearing just out in the public because I love Star Wars, but also just because it's a great looking watch. So I think it is on the more expensive side at its list price. However, I think there are certainly some compelling arguments for this watch for someone who's interested in a luxury Star Wars themed watch. So in conclusion, I think the design elements on this watch are excellent. Love how they incorporated the Star Wars elements. The quote on the back, just a nice little funny ad, and this watch looks amazing. Not a fan of the fact that you need a custom tool to remove the strap, but aside from that, Oris has a great history and consistently releases amazing watches that I'm a huge fan of. But let me know down in the comments below, what do you think about this watch? Are you willing to join the dark side? Let me know, I'd love to hear what you have to say. But that's all for me today. This has been On The Wrist. Thank you for watching.